Hello and welcome to Pixel Magic Tutorials. I am your host Geekman, and today we're going to learn a little bit about color lookup tables. Now, a couple of assumptions that I need to get out of the way right off the bat. Number one, I am using Photoshop CC 2017. So if you're using an earlier version of Photoshop, some of the effects may not work as expected. Secondly, I am using Windows. So if you're using a Mac, when I say hit the Control key on the keyboard, that means hit the Command key. And when I say hit the Alt key on the keyboard, that means hit the Option key. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Now, the first thing I have to say is that I'm not going to be teaching you how to do an exact look today or an exact style. What I am going to be teaching you is how to create your own color lookup tables, and also hopefully explain a little bit about what a color lookup table is. Now, quite simply put, a color lookup table is just a set of adjustment layers that are applied to an image to change its color, tone, and vibrance, and all those other adjustments that you can make with adjustment layers. Okay, so you would take an image that represents a group of images that you've taken. Let's say you've been on vacation and you've taken a lot of photos of, say, a beach. And what you want to do is you want to change the color of all of those photos from just looking like a standard beach to looking like a cinematic beach sunset look. Okay, if you wanted to do that, you could individually go to each and every image and change their look. Or you could create a single color lookup table using one image and then apply that color lookup table to all of your images, thus saving yourself a whole lot of time in color correcting all of those images. So to give you an idea, let's start with something very simple. And again, I'm not going to teach you the exact way to come up with a look or style, but I am going to model what we're doing with this particular tutorial on creating a cinematic type effect look for an image. So let me just take this image that I've got over here and let's open it up in Photoshop, and we will convert it to my working space, which is always Adobe RGB. So here is our image. Okay, and it's just a guy on a motorcycle, and I have a link in the description below where you can download this image and follow along with this. But again, I want to make it clear that I'm not teaching you how to actually create a cinematic look for all of your images. This is just applying to this one particular image, and then you can use this color lookup table where you see fit with other images. Okay, now a cinematic look is usually a look that has teal shadows. So down here, let's say it would look very teal in the shadows, or bluish, cyanish. And then in the highlights, mostly faces, it would be very orangey looking. Okay, now there is a color lookup table already in Photoshop, one of the standard presets that is basically a cinematic look. And if we go over here to our layers palette and we go down here to our adjustment layers and we go to color lookup, okay, we can go over here to 3D LUT file, which is lookup table, and go all the way down here to teal orange plus contrast, right? And that will give us this teal look down here, and it will make the face look a little bit more orange. Okay, but this is not exactly the look that I want, and I want to teach you how to create your own looks and save them as a color lookup table. And then you can quickly apply it to all the images that you need to apply it to. Okay, so let's throw this away. And let's close that out. So one thing that you need to keep in mind when you're working on this color lookup table is that the base, the bottom image, the photo that you are adjusting needs to be background and locked. Now, just to show you how to do that in case your background image is not the only one, and let's say you're starting with an image that you have created and you need to then sandwich that all down into one, merge all those layers down into one image at the bottom and then turn it into a locked background. So let's unlock this and I'll show you how to do that. So here we have layer 0. It is not a locked layer that is named background. Now the way that we go and change that is we go up here to layer, then we go to new, and then we go background from layer. You click on that, and now it is a background layer. It is locked, and then we can create a color lookup table. Okay, once you have that background done, then we're going to do a few adjustment layers. And again, you can use as many or as few adjustment layers as you want. And once you have a satisfactory look, you can then save that as a color lookup table. Okay, so I'm going to use, let's say, 4. I'm going to use 4 layers, adjustment layers, in order to create this cinematic look. Okay, and the first one that I'm going to do is going to be a curves layer. So I'm going to do a curves layer. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that the layers that you're doing, the adjustment layers, don't have to stay on normal. Okay, you can change the adjustment layers. The thing that you can't really do, as far as I know, and I haven't really tested this, so don't take my word for it, but you can't really use the masks because each image is going to be differently masked, so you can't really use them very well. I mean, you probably could use them, but it wouldn't really work very well unless you've got your camera on a tripod and you're just taking a scenic shot of the exact same thing all the time, which would be boring. So let's not do that. Let's rename this right here. Let's rename this as luminosity, because the first one that I'm going to do is only going to touch the luminosity of the image. Okay, and I'm going to change this from normal to luminosity so that I don't change the actual color cast. I'm just going to change the luminosity of the pixels. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give this a slight S curve in the curves box here. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a slight S curve. So we're just going to bring this down a little bit. We're going to recenter this center point like that so that it is right in the center. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to give this just a slight little curve like that. Nothing too harsh, just a little bit, see, from that to that. Okay, and I think that is good enough. The next thing that I'm going to do, and again, once again, just trying to make it very clear, I'm not teaching you an exact look using this method. All I'm teaching you is how this method actually works of using color lookup tables. Okay, so here we have our S curve, and then we're going to create another adjustment layer up there, another curves layer, and this one we're going to name color, because this is where we're going to change some of the colors. And we're going to go over here and change this to color so that we only change the colors. Now, I am not going to use RGB. I'm going to do each channel separately. So we're going to start with the red channel. And like I said, what we want is teals in the shadows. So we want all the shadows to be looking more teal than black. And we want his face and highlights, anything that's highlight, to look more orangey. Okay, that will make them pop more, and it will make the shadows look a little bit more cinematic. Okay, now the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to bring the red here in a little bit, about 1. Now you can see that I have these this grid on here. Now, if you don't see the grid, or if your grid is very large and you want to see this smaller grid, what you have to do is hold down Alt on the keyboard and then click here, and you'll see that the grid has now changed to larger boxes. Click again, and it goes down to smaller boxes. I like the smaller boxes. It gives me a little bit more control. Okay, and I forgot to do this here, but I want to have another point right here in the center. So I'm just going to click right in the center, and that creates a center point that will keep my reds from shifting. And we don't want our reds to shift. Okay, we just want to change them so that they're hotter or darker. All right, and then what we're going to do is bring this top one here in to the left. And as you can see, we're starting to get that that kind of orangey tint up here and more of a teal down here. And then we're going to go here to the green. We're going to do something similar. On the bottom, we're going to bring it in about halfway here, like so, just like this. And then up here, we're going to bring it down about 3/4 of the way, somewhere around like that-ish. And you can see we're getting a little bit more tealish, a little bit nicer. And then we're going to do this similar thing here with the blue. We're going to bring it up from the bottom by about half. Right about there looks good. And then we're going to bring it down from the top by about 1. Let's bring it right about there-ish. Okay, and I think that right there is good. Oh, we have to remember our center points, right? So we got to do that there. And let's go back to our green and make sure that our green is right here in the center. Click. See, and that changes it. Now it's not shifting the color. It's just kind of bringing out more of that teal and orange, right? So you can see that this has gone all teal. And up here in his face and his hands here and in this highlight, it's more orangey. So if I turn this off, you can see the color change. Okay, and it's looking a lot more cinematic already. Now what I want to do is I want to bring up that vibrance and I want to make the colors pop a little bit more. So I'm going to bring in an adjustment layer of vibrance right here. Okay, now I really want this to pop so that you can really see the difference. This may not work for your images. Again, this is just showing you how to use color lookup tables. So let's bring this all the way up here to, oh, I don't know, 65. Let's go 65. That's good. And saturation, not too much. 20 seems about good. Yeah, let's go with 20. So now we've got a much more contrasting, much more vibrant image than we just had. See, with it off and with it on. All right. And then the last thing that I want to do is I want to bring in a black and white filter. And that's not to make this a black and white image, but it's to give a little bit more of depth to it. Okay, so what we're going to do down here is we're going to go up and bring in a black and white. Where are you? There you are. And I'm just going to use a preset. Now, doing this in rehearsals, I saw that the red filter worked really well. Okay, you can see that it's gotten all janky here. But the thing about this is you can go over here to the opacity, and we can bring this all the way down to, let's say, 15%. Like so. Now, like I said, this is just to give it a little bit more of punch. See, with it off, with it on, it looks a little bit more interesting to my eye. Now, you may not like this. You might not want it. I find that this looks really cool as a cinematic look. Okay, so this is now good enough for me to show you how to now save this as a color lookup table and then apply it to whatever image you might want. Okay, so we're using 4 adjustment layers here above our background layer, which is our image. So now that we've done all of this and we're happy with our look, we can now save this as a color lookup table and then apply that color lookup table to any image that we so wish. So let's go up here. We go to File, you go to Export, and then you go down here to Color Lookup Tables. All right, and then we just want to name this. Description will be cinematic, I hope I spelled that right, cinematic teal and orange. I am not typing well today. You can put in a copyright if you want, but I'm just going to call this cinematic teal and orange. Use lowercase file extensions. I like your grid points. You want to use high or maximum. High is usually good enough. And you can click on all of these, but Cube is the one that Photoshop uses. If you're going to bring this color lookup table to, say, Premiere or any of the other video editing programs, then you might want to just select them all so that you'll have everything that you need to import this particular look into any other program that you might use. But since I'm only concentrating on Photoshop in these tutorials, I'm just going to use Cube because that is what Photoshop uses. So we're going to hit OK, and then right here, let's save it over here into my tutorials right here, and we will name this test because I'm just doing this to show you how it's done. All right, then you hit save, it will do its thing, and now it is saved. So now what I can do is I can turn off all of these, go back to my original, go down here, and then I can add in a color lookup. Okay, and then over here on 3D LUT file, I can hit load 3D LUT. And as you can see, here I am with my test cube, hit load, and then with just this one test, I have everything that I need to create that color correction look. It takes a couple of moments to load, and there you go. It is now loaded. So with one adjustment layer, I now have done everything that I did do with these 4. So there's those 4, here's the 1. So now I can adjust it even more should I wish for each of my images. So you can apply this to all your images very quickly, very easily with color lookup tables. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe. I do new tutorials every Tuesday. Once again, this is Geekman signing off for Pixel Magic Tutorials.